The air buzzed with anticipation as the crowd settled into their seats, ready for another chapter in a game that featured some of basketball's most compelling figures. The spotlight was naturally drawn to the familiar towering presence of LeBron James, a name synonymous with domination, finesse, and the kind of plays that have made jaws drop for over 2 decades. Yet, this evening took a detour, a moment no one could have predicted when Yuki Kawamura, a point guard known for his creativity and flash, decided to put on a show that not only surprised but stunned the legend himself. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. The play unfolded with clockwork precision, but it wasn't just any routine possession. Kawamura, standing at a modest 5'11", had always been the kind of player who thrived on the unexpected. What he lacked in height, he made up for in vision and quick hands. On this particular night, the ball zipped to him near the top of the key. The defense, slightly scattered, was quick to adjust, but Kawamura's eyes held a gleam that hinted he was cooking something special. LeBron, known for reading opponents' plays almost before they happened, stood ready, muscles taut with anticipation. With a quick glance, Kawamura's feet sprang into motion, a burst of energy that cut through the defense like a well-honed blade. He slipped into a dribble that looked routine at first, just another step to probe the defense. But as LeBron's gaze tightened, trying to pin down the young guard's intentions, Kawamura did something that could only be described as pure audacity. With a flick of the wrist that seemed to defy physics, he sent the ball behind his back, a pass so precise it split 2 defenders and landed in his teammates' hands. The pass wasn't just fast, it was sly, almost mischievous, darting through the tiniest of gaps as if the ball had its own eyes. Gasps rippled through the stands. LeBron, mid-pivot to react, had to recalibrate. He spun back, a hint of disbelief flashing in his eyes. The moment of adjustment was all Kawamura needed. His teammate, knowing exactly what to do, barely had time to flick the ball back out to Kawamura, who had already floated beyond the arc. The split-second exchange seemed to happen in a blur, and suddenly there was Kawamura steady, poised with the ball. LeBron stepped forward, his shadow a looming threat, ready to challenge what seemed to be a desperate three-point attempt. Kawamura's response was nothing short of cinematic. A step back so sharp it felt like a dance move, pulling him out of the danger zone and giving him just enough space. His eyes locked with LeBron's, and in that brief pause it was as if time hung suspended. The crowd held their breath, a collective intake that seemed to echo through the arena. Kawamura's release was swift, clean, and most importantly, fearless. The arc was beautiful, cutting through the air with that perfect spin that speaks of 1,000 hours spent perfecting a shot in empty gyms. The silence that followed was palpable. The ball reached its apex and began its descent, each inch feeling like a countdown. Then it happened. The ball snapped through the net, pure as a whistle, no rim, just the sound of inevitability. The arena exploded into chaos. Some fans leaped to their feet, others stood frozen, mouths open as if trying to catch their breath. And there, in the midst of the noise, LeBron raised his eyebrows and smirked, a nod to Kawamura that said more than words could convey. Kawamura jogged back on defense, his face a picture of focus, but his eyes couldn't quite hide a flash of exhilaration. He just landed a blow that echoed across the game's landscape. It wasn't just about the points, it was about challenging the hierarchy, making a statement in the purest form, skill versus legend. Yuki Kawamura's path to this moment was paved with a different kind of hustle. Coming from a basketball background that was far removed from the glittering spotlight of major U.S. colleges, he had to forge his identity with sheer grit. His early years were filled with endless dribbling drills on outdoor courts that saw more wind and rain than they did crowds. Stories spread about the young guard's uncanny ability to pass through defenders like water slipping between fingers. But stories weren't enough to turn heads on the grand stage. It took moments like this, against players like LeBron, for that kind of recognition. Kawamura's height often made him the subject of doubt. Coaches, scouts, and even fellow players sometimes cast sideways glances that said more than words. Yet, if there was one trait that defined him, it was his refusal to be boxed in by limitations. His passes were not just flashy, they were weapons, dissecting defenses with the precision of a skilled tactician. And while his handle was tight, it was the ability to make defenders hesitate that truly set him apart. He'd spin stories with the ball, luring players into believing one thing, then executing another. That night, facing LeBron, Kawamura tapped into every ounce of that training, every instinct sharpened by years of outthinking taller, stronger players. His pass was not just a trick, it was a declaration. The step-back three? That was the exclamation point. It was a reminder that basketball, at its heart, is as much about creativity as it is about raw power. The reaction to Kawamura's play wasn't just on the court or in the stands. Social media lit up like a storm had passed through, clips of the moment already going viral before the game ended. The basketball world loves an underdog, especially one that can go toe-to-toe with its kings, and Kawamura, in that minute of brilliance, had given them exactly what they craved. LeBron, known for appreciating good basketball regardless of who dishes it out, later spoke about Kawamura in glowing terms, though we won't delve into that here. But even in the heat of the game, there was an acknowledgement, a nod to skill and guts. It was as if the arena, for all its blaring sounds and chaotic energy, had zeroed in on that invisible handshake between past and present. For Kawamura, this wasn't the peak but rather a checkpoint on a road full of more challenges. It was validation not just of one play but of a style of basketball that doesn't apologize for flair. The reaction of his teammates was a testament to the kind of camaraderie his play inspired. They slapped his back, yelled into the night, caught up in the glow of what they had just witnessed. It wasn't just a shot, it was a spark that lit up the team's spirit. In the ebb and flow of the game, not every moment is remembered. Most fade into the stream of plays that make up a night's contest. But this one, Kawamura's sharp behind-the-back pass and his icy step-back three, carved out a space that would not soon be forgotten. The memory would live in highlight reels, sure, but also in the stories shared by those who watched it unfold. An echo that reached playgrounds and pickup games, where young players tried to mimic the impossible pass and the fearless shot. The sport is richer for moments like these, for the play that makes even the greatest pause, if only for a heartbeat. Kawamura's moment wasn't about taking down a giant, but about showing that giants can be surprised, that the game has room for those who are unafraid to be different. In that instant, he reminded everyone why they first fell in love with basketball, for its unpredictability, its drama, and the moments where skill overcomes every expectation. Kawamura's performance was more than a single standout highlight. It was a signal to every young player watching that audacity and belief can level any playing field. The beauty of that moment lay not just in the points or the stunned reactions, but in the unspoken message it carried. The court that night became a canvas, and Kawamura's pass and shot were brushstrokes that painted a scene of pure possibility. As the game continued, the arena's energy never dipped, fueled by the collective memory of what had just taken place. Teammates fed off it, the crowd echoed it, and even LeBron, with his knowing grin, seemed to embrace it. Kawamura's name was now more than an entry on a roster. It was part of the narrative, proof that on any given night, the fearless can capture the moment and make even legends stop and admire. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.